ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणि निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्रीचिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोति प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलि प्राञ्जलीनां नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम। We all are aware that we are leading some kind of life. Good, bad, painful, not painful, neutral. There are different aspects, different names given to the life. But what is life? Perhaps one way of describing the life is succession of events is life. Life is nothing but moving from one incident, one event to another event. Every event has a result. Life is succession of events. Every event has a result, and every result has an effect. Eating the food, the lunch, is an event. Feeling satiated or feeling trupta is the result. And wow, what a food it was is the effect. So every event has to have a result. In fact, an event cannot be called as an event if there is no result. In Shastriya Paribhasha, an event is karma, a result is phalam. So if we are in this world, there shall be event, there shall be karma, there shall be result, there shall be phalam. The only last part, parinam, effect of the result, is what we are concerned about. We cannot stop the event because event is the culmination of previous action. We cannot stop the result because a result of an action is inseparable from the action itself. You cannot have karma and there is no phalam. No, every karma has to have the phalam. So if anyone tries to work on karma or phalam, there cannot be a stupid person of a higher order than that. And what do we do precisely in our life? We try to control the karma and we try to desire the phalam in a particular manner, as if I decide the phalam. The result of an action and the action itself, both are not in my hand. Action pre-emanates from my previous actions, prarabdham as it is called, and the result of that action is inextricably interwoven with the event itself, so it shall happen. There is a burning coal and I put my hand on it. The result is certain that there will be a burn. So burning coal and the burn, they are inextricably interwoven. So similarly in my life, every action that I do shall have a result, and I should not be wasting my energy on changing these two aspects. However, whatever has happened because of the event as a result, how do I take it? What kind of effect it has upon me is the only thing that is in my hand, but it is the only thing that can change the entire course of future events. If I let the events happen, if I let the karma happen, if I let the phalams also accrue to it and stop the effect upon me, there is nothing wrong in this world. The clouds come and the rain happens. And if I don't show any effect about it, I enjoy it the most because I'm not affected by that. So when the effect of the result of an event affects a person, sukham and dukkham is produced. Event per se does not have the power to cause pain or displeasure or happiness. The results by itself do not have the power to affect. The effect of the result, which is entirely dependent on the perceiver, is the one which causes the distortion, resulting into the pain and sorrow. Samam shitoshna sukha dukkham. What is samam shitoshna sukha dukkham? Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Whenever an event happens, and for an event to happen, the sense organ has to interact with the subject or the object. Whenever the event happens, means interaction of sense organs happen, there shall be some result, which is immaterial, but the result causing an effect on me, affecting me, is the issue. And this effect is nothing else but the vrittis that are described by Patanjali Maharaj. The effect of the result of an incidence, the parinama of the phalam of the karma affects us by production of what is called as vritti or the thought. The vrittis we have seen are of 5 types as a classified, structured, compartmental thing. There are 5. They are both panchataya, klishta, aklishta. They can give you so-called happiness, aklishta, and klishta, painful. Either way, because that which is happiness in shorter terms is always a sorrow in the longer term. There is absolutely no exception to this rule. What might make me happy now shall make me unhappy about the same thing in future. That is why this is not a trikala badhita ananda. This is a vastunishta kala maryadita anandam. I eat my food, I feel happy. After 1 hour, the happiness is gone, the food is gone. So that's why the vritti that time felt little happy was aklishta vritti. It was not ananda vritti. Ananda is a different thing. Aklishta is a different thing. Now that we know that every event, if it has a result and the result affects a person, all we need to do is let the event happen, let the results come, I shall not get affected. In other words, let the events happen, let the life move forward, but I shall not be subjecting myself to the vrittis, thoughts, that might arise from that event, and that is called as Nirodha of Vrittis. And this Nirodha of Vrittis is what precisely Patanjali Maharaj said when he said that all you need to do is Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tan Nirodha, to stop this incursion of Vrittis upon me. Abhyasa and Vairagyam, these are two extremely important things. And when Abhyasa and Vairagyam are the important things, we saw in detail what precisely means by Abhyasa and Vairagyam. The Vairagyam comes first before the Abhyasam in the sense of the meaning of Patanjali Maharaja's Sutra, because only when the mind had stopped going outside, then only it can be turned inside. The Abhyas that is mentioned in Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tan Nirodha presupposes Abhyas, or the practice of internalizing the mind. Internalizing is not possible unless externalizing is stopped. Stopping the externalization of the mind is Vairagya. In the analogy of what we discussed some time back, having a role of an observer for an event to happen in life, watching the results thereof without one getting affected or affected by it is Vairagyam. There is an incident called job losses, which is because of the current economic situation. As a result of that event happened, the event has happened now. The result is job loss. I lose my job. Event has happened. Eventually, the result of that event is natural that the job will be lost. Some of the jobs will be lost. And I happen to be the one who lost the job. Up to this point, there is no problem. Now that I have lost the job, what will happen to me? How will I survive? What will happen to my children? Would I be getting the same kind of life that I enjoyed? I'm not used to the life which is other than Dubai. All the comforts might get lost. Children may not like what is going to come in their way. This is called getting affected by the events. This, if doesn't happen, you are established in Vairagyam. So this particular thing is possible only by Abhyasa and Vairagyam. We saw something about the Abhyasam beforehand. Tatra sthito yatno Abhyasaha. And Abhyas, if it is done for the longer period, then it leads to Satu Dirgha Kalena Nairantarya Satkaro Sevita Drudabhumi. Getting firmly established into anything that you intend to achieve, which is called Drudabhumi, is possible by Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkaro Sevita Bhumi. If with all the faith, dedication, tapasa brahmacharyena vidyaya shraddhaya, if we do for a very long period consistently, not on Friday morning, on Tuesday morning, consistently, then the Abhyasa becomes a Druda Bhumi, that means Sahajavastha. Dirghakala means how much Dirghakala? It could be many lives. Why many lives? Because if somebody has to take a postgraduate degree in the university, the aim could be very fine. But how much time he will take depends upon what is his intellect. The person is completely illiterate and wants to become postgraduate in university, he will take far longer time than the person who is literate. Similarly, in the sadhana, who is little advanced, he will move faster. One who is in tamo guna or rajo guna, he will have much longer time to go. But the assurance given by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita is, lose not the hope, because you will start from where you ended. Praptam punyakrutam lokanushitva shashwati samashuchinam srimantam gehe yoga prashto abhijayate. You will get into the right place to restart, don't worry. That is why a person like Sendamangalam Brahmendra Swami, one of the highest Vairagi, at the age of 10, 15 only, he felt like giving up everything. Buddha, in spite of having everything at the disposal, the comforts to the maximum extent, the Prince Siddhartha, suddenly felt that there's nothing in this. Did it happen suddenly, or it had a long history? Only the Guru knows it. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to look at some of his disciples and used to say that, oh, you are the yogi of last birth. You are here only for one more birth. They have ability to recognize, because they are Kalatita, they have control over the time. So the past is like an open book to them. So Dirghatva here could be anything from few minutes to few births. Dirgha kalam nairantare sevito drudabhuvi. Now the question is, once we have this abhyasam, the most critical part in yoga to achieve the aim of Patanjali's Yoga Shastra, which is a sampradnyat samadhi. We are going to come to that later on. To reach that, the cardinal principle, the summum bonum of the instrument that is available for the yoga sadhana, sadhaka, is vairagyam. And we need to be completely, fundamentally crystal clear about the concept of vairagya. We have heard it so many times, this word. Every now and then we talk of vairagya, vairagi, vairagya. The concept needs to be understood. That is why the Vakya, definition given by Patanjali Maharaj in 15th mantra is of extremely high importance. Drushtanushravika Vishaya Vitrushnasya Vashikara Saudhnya Vairagyam. Once again, Drushtanushravika Vishaya Vitrushnasya Vashikara Saudhnya Vairagyam. Vigraha, if you do Vigraha, Drushta Anushravika Vishaya Vitrushnasya Vashikara Saudhnya Vairagyam. Drushta, seen. Drushta means whatever is seen or experienced through sense organs. Upalakshanat, whatever is done, whatever is seen by the sense organs is called drushta. Anushravika, anu means from somebody. Shravika, shruta, to listen, to hear. Whatever is heard from others is anushravika. Either I see so I know, or I hear from somebody so I know. There are only two sources of having a knowledge of anything. Drushta, anushravika vishaya. Whatever subjects, which includes the objects also, are seen and heard. About that, if you have vitrushnasya, vigata trushna, vigata, to go away, visheshena gatva, vigata, it's gone. Trushna, desire. Intense desire is trushna. When the intense desire for that which is seen by the sense organs and heard from others is gone, then that sthiti called Vashikara Saudhnya. What is Vashikara? Perfect subjugation is the English word. perfect subjugation, Vashikar, Saudhnya, Vairagyam. The designation for the state of perfect subjugation, which comes from Vigata Trushna, desirelessness about seen and heard objects. That is the meaning of the mantra. Drushtanushravika Vishay Vitrushnasya Vashikara Saudhnya Vairagyam. Vyakya. There are subtle things into this Vyakya. Again, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is the most terse, T-E-R-S-E, most compact Sutra Grantha. It is considered to be ideal Sutra Grantha. So it is so packed that to dissect it, that is why there is a Bhashya written, there is a Vartika written. The reason is because each thing needs explanation. So let us see what Vyasa Maharaj says about Vyasa Bhashya. And whenever I say Vyasa Maharaj, we are not referring to the Mahabharata Vyasa. There was one Vyasa who has written Bhashyam here. He was there in about 4th, 5th century. So Vyasa Bhashyam is considered to be authoritative text on the interpretation of Patanjali. This is just as a reminder. He says, Striyaha annam panam aishwaryam iti drushta visaye vritrushnasya. He has given some examples. Striyaha. Why Striyaha? Show me a man who does not think of a woman at least couple of times in a day. Ask your inner conscience. And when I say man for women, it goes reverse also. Desire for the other sex. Medically, it is proven that the sexual thoughts predominates the mind of human beings, and that has been also, there has been statistical survey about it in medicine. It indicates the number is quite large, quite high. What it means is, in a day, we think, and the stimulus for thinking could be any woman walking on the road or anything, any object. So, striyaha annam panam. Prashana karne ke liye, whatever you want to eat. So, we are either ahara, nidra, bhayamay, tunamcha. These 4 things are constantly being thought by us. What more is that? See inside yourself. When one sees one side inside himself, very rarely we find that we are not thinking. Almost impossible. We think, we continue, we go for a walk, we think. And what are we thinking? Striya annam panam aishwaryam. Yasha kirti satta sampatti pratishtha. There is no subject other than that. When I'm alone, I'm talking to myself, that is thinking. When I'm with someone else, I'm expressing my thoughts, that is talk. I keep doing these two. Both are direct expression of the vrittis that are coming on my mind. That is why we are a yogi all the time. And in this world, the person who can be Anandapurna is only yogi, not a yogi. We are all vibhakta, divested, divergent. That is why drushta visaya vitrushnasya. First of all, whatever is seen by the sense organs, striyaha annapanam aishwaryam, one has to be completely desireless for them. Tukaram Maharaj saw a beautiful woman coming and making advances to him. Immediately Tukaram Maharaj said, Mata, what is the reason why you are here today? So to see a Devi in, how will you see a Devi in every Stri? It is only possible when the thought process is emanating from the godly principle inside you, not from the ghastly principle from you. The Iblis or the Shaitan inside does not let you think in that manner because of previous samskaras. That is why Striyaha annam panam prabhuta, that is Aishwaryam, iti drushta vishaye vitrushnasya. Ye to drushta vishay ki baat ho gayi, whatever is through sense organs. What about anushravika vishaya? Swarga Vaidehya Prakriti Layatva Praptavan Anushravika Vishaye. That is called Paralaukika. What we said of Stri Annapanam is Laukika. Paralaukika. किसी ने स्वर्ग तो देखा नहीं. We have not seen the paradise. But there is a desire to be in paradise. That is called Paralaukika Sukham. In fact, those who are completely engrossed into the happiness or satisfaction in this material world, they don't even think of the outer world because they think this is going to last longer. Those who feel are little ritualistic or little having a religious bent of mind, they do all the puja part and everything for what? Lakshmi ki puja. For what? Lakshmi. Vishnu Maharaj ki puja. Why? Because I want to be in Swargam. So, Swarga. Vaideha. Vaideha means without the Deha. Who? Angels. Pariya. In some religion, there is a land of milk and honey. All those things which are described as beautiful description of paradise is where we intend to go. Frankly speaking, a Sufi says, हमें मालूम है जन्नत की हकीकत लेकिन दिल को बहलाने के लिए ये ख्याल अच्छा है. It is a stupid idea to think of paradise, but दिल बहलाने के लिए ये ख्याल अच्छा है. It is a fool's paradise, as they call it. So Swarga Vaideha Prakriti Layatva. This is something we need to understand. We know Swarga, we know that Vaideha, that means the bodiless enjoying status of paradise, etc. But what is Prakriti Layatva? When in the state of Samadhi, we start attempting for Samadhi, we are going to come to those Asampradnyat and Sampradnyat Samadhi very soon. In that Samadhi, when we are able to withdraw ourselves from all the things that are outside, as well as all the things that are in this body, then you reach a stage where you migrate up to the point of buddhi, to a point where even you forget your own body and definitely the whole world. So whatever is made up of Prakriti, Prakriti means nature or Maya. So all Maya Tattva, including your own body, your own mind, when it is forgotten, forgotten means Vismrutya, forgotten means Laya, when it is dissolved, at that stage, it is called Prakriti Layatva. It leads to an enormous amount of happiness. It is called Anandavastha. And look at what Patanjali Maharaj is saying. Even that needs to be done Vairagyam. The land of yoga is the highest land that we are attempting to reach, in which Anandam also has no place. Sattvaguna also has no place. Then what has place? Anything that has place has no place. I understand it is a little difficult to understand, but as we move forwards towards the further Samadhi Pada, we will realize what precisely this particular mantra is. So Vairagyam, we saw that whatever is Drushta Vishaya and whatever is Anushravika Vishaya or Paralaukika Vishaya. So Laukik and Paralaukika Vishaya, to establish or to create a desirelessness avastha, is called Vairagyam. Chah miti, chinta miti, manwa beparwah, jinko kachu nahi chahiye wahi shahenshah. This is what Kabir Maharaj says. Who is Shahenshah? Who is the emperor of the world? Who does not wish or want anything. Anything means, or not even God's darshan. That is by the way thing coming on the way. No, but I want Brahma Prapti. No, sir, that is also that, because that is again a desire. So that is why Vitrushnasya Divya Adivya Vishaya Samprayoge Api Chittasya Vishaya Dosha Darshinaha Prasankhya Balat Anabhogatmika Heyopadeya shunya vashikara saudnya vairagyam. Heyopadeya means such a person who is established in vairagya, he has no heya, no upadeya. Heya means tyag. Hat, hat is the dhatu. Hat is to do, abandon, jettison. Tyag. Upadaya, grahan karna. A yogi who is a vairagya purna yogi, he has nothing in this world to covet for, nothing to cherish, nothing to, even to the extent to do the kalyanam of everybody. It comes as a nature to them. It is not, doesn't come as a desire. Gurudeva wanted everyone to read Bhagavad Gita and progress spiritually. It was not his desire, it was his nature. Mind well. With our stupid small intellect, we feel, oh, he was so compassionate. Compassion again is a gunam. He is gunatita. A flower, when it smells, it is not because he wants to give the smell. It is simply because giving smell is the nature, giving beautiful aroma is the nature of the flower. Similarly, a yogi emanates from him the compassion, not as a gunam, but as a nature. Why? Because any desire would mean vishaya. And विषय दोष दर्शिन प्रसंख्या बलात् विवेक शक्ति होने की वजह से, ज्ञान होने की वजह से, the वैराग्य पूर्ण व्यक्ति shall never indulge into desiring anything, because he is in a state of constant, continuous desirelessness. Now, Sutra Siddhi on this Bhashyam tells us that this mantra is made for a vairagya. Now, after listening to all what I just narrated, we may get a feeling, oh, this is vairagya. Patanjali Maharaj wants, this is vairagya, but it is vairagya of a lower order. If this is lower order, then what is higher order? We will come to this now. This vairagyam is of two types. Paravairagya or Paravairagya and Aparavairagya. What we saw just now is Aparavairagya. By Vakhya, from the beginning of the Yoga Sadhana up to Viveka Khyati of Asampradnyat Samadhi is called Aparavairagya. How will you start with the Vairagya? Whatever Vishaya is around me, I shall slowly start giving them up. That is the beginning of Vairagya. For example, one shirt is enough. 2, 3 are enough. Whichever material, it's okay. Every time you think like this, you have started on the journey of Vairagya. The logical corollary of Vairagyam is, lesser and lesser you have, more and more happier you are. And take it in reverse manner, more and more you have, more and more unhappy you will be. So our life can be calculated this way. How much have you accumulated? That much you have accumulated the sorrow. So when we say simplicity, what we mean is giving up, giving away that which is not essential. And the essential has to be defined with a role model, not with what you feel you're essential, because a Ferrari could be essential for you. So when we start giving up the things, then the Vairagyam had just started. You are embarked on Vairagya. And then you take it further from this so-called shirt to something which is inside the shirt, the body. From the shirt, the top tunic to the inner tunic is a progression of Vairagya. So from the, once you start doing this Vairagya, then it becomes easier. And who can do Vairagya? Only one who has Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi and Vairagyam, they are two sides of the same coin. A dirty man, a evil man cannot have Vairagya, because evil itself means you are desiring something. I want to be a top person in this field. What Vairagyam you can have? I want to have such a sprawling bungalow. The evil thoughts immediately start. After that, evil thought meaning aggrandizement, collection, accumulation, owning something, having swamitva on whatever you want. You want to be the swami, the master. This desire propels us to do all the actions in this world, which ultimately results into raga, attachment. Raga means not anger. Raga in Sanskrit means rajadhatu, attachment. And if this attachment is not to be developed, then you have to do viraja, vairagya, disattachment, detachment. So this art of detachment has got apara vairagya. Apara vairagya starts from the beginning of vairagya up to asampradnyat samadhi. Asampradnyat samadhi is a state in which right from your body, you're not aware of anything around you. So there is a almost prakruti laya, but still it is apara vairagya. And the para vairagya or para vairagya starts from that point onwards. That means from where? From the viveka khyati of asampradnyat samadhi to what is called as tattvajnana vishaya vairagya sampradnyat samadhi. What is the difference between the two? The first is about the entire creation, including the mind. Because mind is also prakriti, part of Maya. Whatever is a jad, mind also, indriya, mind, shariram, things around you, whatever belongs to this universe, all that you have become desireless. You have reached apara, vairagya. You will go into a samadhi called asampradnyat samadhi. Now what remains? What remains is you are into pure sattvika avastha. Sattvika gunadhikya, shuddha sattvika avastha, sattvika guna pariposha. Beyond this, you develop an aversion to even sattvika guna. You develop aversion to anandam. Why? Anandam means you are having some feeling, blissful feeling. That means there has to be somebody who has that feeling. That means ahankaram, the last trace of ego called sukshma antakarana vritti is still there. And the moment you say sukshma antakarana vritti, and then it goes against the yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. All vrittis are to be subsided, including the vritti of anandam. So if I in my samadhi have a darshanam of Bhagavan Sri Ram and felt very happy about it, sir, according to Patanjali Yoga Shastra, you have not reached the place. See the depth of vairagya that we are talking about, and so far we were carrying the impression of vairagya in a different way. So it goes without saying that such a vairagya, which is para vairagya, at that point of time, the gunas are also completely abandoned, including sattva guna. Then what happens to him? Not only that, he goes beyond prakriti, beyond the creation, he goes beyond prakriti means beyond, because prakriti is what? Three gunas. So all the three gunas are gone by, they're completely dissolved. That is precisely what is called as Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjuna. This is what Arjuna was told by Lord. Lord says, don't be happy with asampradnyat samadhi. Go from that vivek khyati forward. Only those dhirana, courageous people. It requires enormous amount of mental resolve to dissolve the resolve. A mental resolve to dissolve the resolve is what is paravairagyam. And then when that happens, suddenly from the darkness, one enters into the splendid, resplendent, all Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, a light full of existence alone. And then I exist is replaced by exist or existence, astitva, asti bhati priti. Astitva of what? No, that's not the question. Astitva of what means you have come back to Prakriti. That is why from the beginning of Vairagya up to Viveka Khyati of Asampradnyat Samadhi is called Apara Vairagya. From the beginning of Asampradnyat Samadhi or Viveka Khyati to Tattvajnana Vishaya Vairagya, where you become Trigunatita. And once you become Trigunatita, what is the difference between you and Lord Ganesha? Nothing. Why? Tvam Trigunatrayatitaha, Tvam Avasthatrayatitaha. If he is Trigunatita and you have become Trigunatita, you have become Ganesha. I hope we understand now Gurudeva where he was. Simply saying Gurudev ki Jai is not going to be of any use. We need to understand at least our Guru's position, at least Guru's height which he has scaled. So Paravairagya, when established, so this mantra which we saw, 15th mantra, is called Aparavairagya, or the first half of the Vairagya, or a relatively low Vairagya compared to the Paravairagya. 15th mantra talks about Aparavairagya, 16th mantra talks about Paravairagya. But before going to Paravairagya, you must also see what is Aparavairagya Lakshanam. All Drushta Vishaya, Shabda Adi Sulabha Vishaya, Anushravika Vishaya, Anushruyata iti Anushruvo Vedaha. Veda Vidita Swarga Lokadi Vishaya is called Anushravika Vishaya. We just saw that Apara Vairagya means Drushta Vishaya and Anushravika, heard Vishaya. Heard means not our friend talking about some lady sitting there. No, that is not Anushravika. That is a stupidity. Anushravika means Shra, Shruti. Shruti means Veda. In Veda, what is written but which is not observed or seen or experienced by us, which is Swargam. There should be no doubt about the astitva of the lokas, the Swargas, the Satya lokas, the Mahalokas, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, everything exists because it is mentioned in Vedas. To have a desire of those lokas, the Purvamimamasa is completely dedicated to that. All the yaga, yajna that we do is to achieve those lokas. So those vishayas are called Anushravika Vishaya. If both of these, the desire for both of these is dissolved, then that desireless state is called Vashikara Saudhnya. This word is specifically brought in by Patanjali Maharaj in Vairagya. Vashikara Saudhnya is a chitta sthiti. Vashikara Saudhnya is a state of mind. It is not a title for Vashikara. So Vairagya is not a title. It is not a Visheshana. It is a sthiti. Vashikara Saudhnya, Vitrushnata. When we say Vitrushnata, it is not a Visheshan, but it is a Vachya Padartha. It is the sthiti of Chitta. Now comes the question that whenever somebody starts in the journey of Vairagyam, what happens? How does he go? In which stages he goes? Apara Vairagya is divided into 4 stages. Everybody has to travel on those 4 stages to reach Apara Vairagya. The first stage of Vairagyam is called Yatamana Saudhnya. Yatamana Saudhnya. Word itself is very clear. Yata is Yatna, effort. Yatamana Mana. Yatamana Saudhnya. Yatamana Saudhnya means that in which the mind is constantly under the efforts of Vairagya. Now, what happens in this? The mind is constantly being told to be aware of not going into the subjects, not going into the thoughts, not going into the subject. Bahar bhi nahi jana, andar bicharo mein bhi nahi jana. This is the first stage of Vairagya, which we should attempt right now, right here, from today onwards. What does this mean? It means Anything that you see around when you are in a walk, when you are doing anything, none of those things should create any kind of desire in your mind. The abhyas of shamadama that we saw, you feel almost a echo of that kind of a study, but it is so. The reason being, when we say drushta vishaya, anushravika vishaya, the definition of vairagyam itself is parallel to vivek chudamani. Tad vairagya jihasaya darshana shravanadibhi brahmadis astamba paryante yanitye bhogavastuni. This is how vivek chudamani defines vairagya. So yatamana sajna is a mind that is attempting to stop its movement in thoughts as well as in drushya vishaya towards the desired objects. And Shivananda Maharaj gives beautiful tips about it. Now coming the practical part of Vairagya. This is where we are. Now forget about Para Vairagya. I don't know how many birds we will require to reach there. But Yatamana Saudhnya Vairagya is where we start. And how do we start that? The food has come in front of me and I say, what is, there is no this food and a little salt and little, what is happening? We are going into the Vishaya. How do you stop going into the Vishaya? Haricha, Annam Purna Brahmam. Eat that. That Annam is for the maintenance of this Sharira. I have nothing to do with the Annam. What happened? Vairagya Purna approach towards the food. Yatamana. Somebody comes and says that, sir, you are stupid of a highest order. And immediately the boiling starts inside. Instead, say so. There are some people in this land about whom we cannot speak, and they speak sometimes very irrational. We know what I'm pointing at. But whenever that happens, we don't say anything, but inside the mind there's a prakshobha. That prakshobha should not happen. Why? Not happening that prakshobha is vairagya. Third thing is, जैसी स्थिति आहे तैशा परी राहे कौतुक तुप आहे संचिताचे. Whatever has come, yalla base निज कर्मो पाते वित्तम तेनम विनोदय चित्तम. Whatever comes to you, accept it with grace, with calm equipoise. It is lakshanam of vairagyam. That is why a true vairagyi is always smiling, because his smile is independent of the situation, paristhiti. He is in sthiti. We are always in paristhiti. Paristhiti means, pari means around. Whatever is around, if it affects you, you are in paristhiti. If it doesn't affect you, you are in sthiti. So to beginning Yatamana Saudhnya happens. After a prolonged practice of Yatamana Saudhnya, all outside objects, they stop creating desire in your mind. Then you go to the next stage of stage 2 of Apara Vairagya called Vyatireka Saudhnya. Vyatireka Saudhnya means majority of objects are gone, but there are some objects which are very dense, very difficult to leave. For example, you will see majority of these sadhus or the sadhakas, they are still stuck with one or two odd small desires. Sex is one desire which is quite deep in the mind. That is why brahmacharyam is the most difficult. Read Gandhiji's biography. He says, everything else in this world I could achieve very easily with the control of mind, but for brahmacharya, I know how much I have to try. Brahmacharya is the most difficult of the things. So then when one such desire is left and you're working only on that one, that is called Vyatireka Saudhnya. Partial exclusion. All things are gone, but one or two are still remaining in a very dense form. In fact, one of the observation in Vairagyam is when you start giving away certain things of your life, whatever is left becomes very dense and intense. That is one of the reasons why many sadhus fall prey to the sexual advances, because they have controlled their mind in so many things, so it explodes through one small aperture that is available there. So one has to be very careful. सावध साक्षेपी और दक्ष, सावध और दक्ष उसे तत्काल मोक्ष. So Vyatireka Saudhya is the second stage. After this is done, then comes Ekendriya Saudhya. What is Ekendriya Saudhya? All senses are subdued. Nothing that comes in front of eyes, ears, skin, nothing creates desire. But the mind still has ragam and dvesham. You may not be interested in anything around the world, but yet you may have an opinion about somebody because it is not dependent on anything, dependent on any object. So, dvesha and raga about anybody, about any situation, about any person, that is the last, the third bastion, not the last, the third bastion. So, it is the control of the mind, that means purging the mind from all likes and dislikes. In Ekendriya Saudhya, mind is the only thing that they are working on. The Vairagi is working only on the mind because rest has been already worked out. Doesn't matter where he is, what food he is getting, where is he staying, what people are doing, they are coming and beating him. He is being thrown into the ditch. He got bitten by the snake. All immaterial. But the mind is still there. जंगल जाए जोगी दुनिया रमोले, काम ज्वराले जोगी होई गले हिजड़ा, मन ना रंगाए रंगाए जोगी कपरा. Even if you go to the forest and think in your mind of raga dvesham, you will become hijada. That is what Kabir Maharaj says. Why? Man na rangaye, rangaye jogi kapada. Externally is not important. Man na rangaye, even raga dvesham. Konahi jivacha na gado matsara varna sarveshwara pujanachi. Ekendriya Saudhya. After this, one who has controlled the externality, one who has controlled the mind, then he enters the last stage of apara vairagya. Mind well, we are still not talking about para vairagya. The last stage of apara vairagya called vashikara saudhya, which is called perfect vairagya. Senses are quiet, mind is free from dislikes and likes and dislikes. Now this is the mind which is ready to enter into samadhi. What samadhi it is? It is not a perfect samadhi. Asampradnyat samadhi. So this mind which has to be made to go through 4 stages of vairagya, then only one reaches to that stage. There was one Swami Krishnashram of Gangotri at Gangotri during 1930s and so. Swami Krishnashram, he was a perfect vairagya. What was he doing? In Gangotri, he used to sleep on the ice. Then there was also example of Avadhut Keshavananda of Rishikesh, the one who put the foundation stone for Banaras Hindu University. Madan Mohan Malviya ji was his disciple. Madan Mohan Malviya ji was student of Arvind Ghosh, and he was disciple of this Avadhut Keshavananda ji. This Avadhut Keshavananda ji was brought to Dehradun from Rishikesh by Madan Mohan Malviya ji. And he said, Babaji, aap so jao, you sleep here. He said, no, where is the grass? Why? I sleep on the grass. I don't know whether you have a house or a bungalow or whatever. Where is my grass? Why? Because Vairagya is ingrained in them. Another in South India, one of these sadhu of very highest order. He was a Vairagya of highest order, Sedamangalam Brahmendra Swami. He was a disciple of Avadhut Brahmendra Swami. He was so much unaware of his body that he wanted to go and meet his mother. So he walked continuously 115 kilometers in single stretch. One fine day, he felt he should go to Kashi. So he walked from Chennai to Kashi. All this at the age of 28 years. Of course, it goes without saying that he was a yogi of yester births also. But Vairagyam, once it is developed to that extent, that is one of the reasons why Because of Naishtik Brahmacharya, Vivekananda Swami Maharaj Vairagyam was so developed that none of those beauties of America, England, whatever, no one. In fact, after the first lecture in the Parliament of Religions, one of the old lady disciple who was present at that time, she said, if this young man can escape from the women of America, then I will say that he is great. And the same lady later on became his disciple and said that he is great. Why? No lady, nothing. Ramakrishna Param used to say, he is like a clean slate. Nothing can get attached to him. He is Vairagya Purna from birth. That is why these 4 stages of Apara Vairagya, Yatamana Saudhnya, Vyatireka Saudhnya, Ekendriya Saudhnya, and Vashikara Saudhnya. These are 4 stages of Apara Vairagya of 15th Sutra of Patanjali, which is Drushtanushravika Vishaya Vitrushnasya Vashikara Saudhnya Vairagyam. And the Vairagyam has to be Karana Vairagyam, not so Viveka Purna Vairagyam, not Karana Vairagyam. What is Karana Vairagyam? Somebody, some hero died day before yesterday. Everybody said, what is there in life? Kya rakha hai? It's all useless. It's all. This is also Vairagyam. For how long? 24 hours. This is called Karana Vairagya. Mother dies. Ab kuch bacha nahi hai, I don't want to really. I want to just all that. This is a stupid Vairagya which lasts only for few minutes to few hours. This is called Karana. No. Viveka Purna Vairagya. Understanding the position of great people like Patanjali Maharaj and Gurudeva, getting the initiation in the heart with Vaiviryam and Utsaha that I shall become a yogi. Even to cherish a desire that I want to become a yogi is the accumulation of punyam of n number of births. This desire itself is a sattvic desire. It's not so easy. And only desire is of no use. One has to work on it. As Shivananda Maharaj says, decide, I shall not have salt in my diet for 6 months and stick to it. That determination, that grit. We are going to come to Yama Niyama, Ashtanga Yoga. One of the part is also Niyama, the discipline. Discipline is Shastum. The word Shastra itself has come from discipline. Shastum Ichha. Shishya. Who is Shishya? That word has come from Shastum, discipline. So that is why these are 4 different types of Vairagya. To recapitulate, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. We started there. Tannirodha, with Tannirodha, Panchavruttayaha. Panchavruttaya Nirodhena Abhyasa Vairagyam iti sadhanam. What is Abhyasam? That we saw earlier. What is Vairagyam? We are trying to see now, of which we saw 15th mantra, which is relating to Apara Vairagya. In that Apara Vairagya, we saw there are 4 stages, starting from Yatamana Saudhnya, Vyatirikta Saudhnya, Ekendriya Saudhnya, and reaching Vashikara Saudhnya. In this, when he reaches to Vyatireka Saudhnya, 2nd stage, you start getting a feeling that yes, I am becoming Vairagya Purna. Till then, you don't realize it. In Vyatireka Saudhnya stage, you realize that yes, things are having less influence upon me. So through these 4 stages, when one reaches, then he becomes ready for Samadhi. You are constantly thinking, when will I get my Samadhi? Sir, there is no way. It is like an illiterate boy coming close to the university building and saying, when will I get my postgraduate? Sir, no, you will have to go through all the stages. So, Abhyasa, Vairagya, Vairagya, Apara Vairagya, Para Vairagya, Apara Vairagya, starting from Yatamana Saudhnya. Right today itself could be the auspicious time to start thinking about Vairagyam. If one does that, then he can say that, yes, I am trying to do sadhana. Otherwise, verbal diarrhea, as Vivekananda Maharaj calls it. Like a parrot doing the rote of whatever knowledge is around, using memory, try to memorize Sanskrit shlokas and everything, and getting a feel that I'm advanced in the studies of Adhyatma is the biggest ridiculous thing that we can do to ourselves. A serious, a Gambhira Vidyarthi, we are Vidyarthi. We are not even sadhaka, we are Vidyarthi. A Gambhira Vidyarthi should start implementing more than listening. So Vairagya, that now it has been, one has to observe his own weaknesses, and the Vairagya has to start there. I have a sweet tooth. Some people have sweet dentition. They're so obsessed by sweet. The moment you come across something like this, that's the point where the Vairagya should start. You are known in your circles by something. Oh, he is, he is obsessed, he is passionate. The moment you say passionate, Vairagya has to start there. Because material passion is averse to Vairagya. Where the passions of material type exist, Vairagyam cannot become Udaya. So that is why after 15th Mantra Sutra, we by now should come to a conclusion that the highest of the ideal has to be started right here, right now, by adopting Vairagyam in the day-to-day life. Hari Om Purnamada Purnidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.
Dilip ji, you have a question?
Yes, Hari Om, Sanjay ji. This 4 stages of Vairagya was very well explained and quite elaborative. Now, the first and second stages of Vairagya, Abhyasa Vairagya and Vidiroga Vairagya, is fine, and it's easy to practice like. But the third one, the purging of mind, that becomes very difficult to follow or practice, especially when you are living in the material world, or if you are working, or if you are doing your duties in life. This purging of minds, I find it very, very, very difficult and impractical also. I'm just wondering how to go through, pass through that stage.
The third stage called Ekendriya Saudhnya, or the purging of mind, one of the best example is the one who was established in all these 4 stages was our Gurudev, and he was working all around. How that was possible? That is because the third stage of purging of mind is difficult because it is bound to be difficult unless first 2 are done. The one who has completely conquered the external objects can only come to Vyatireka Saudhnya. One who has conquered Vyatireka Saudhnya, that means neither the subject outside nor the thought inside, is now creating desires. At that stage, automatically, because you are prepared up to that level, the bhumi, the ground has been cleared up to that level, Ekendriya Saudhnya starts becoming easy. It is like saying that, supposing a 5th standard person says that it is impossible for me to write a thesis for PhD, it will be difficult because you are in 5th standard. Once you reach the masters, then you have the ability to write the thesis, so you enter into PhD. Similarly, here, unless Yatamana Saudhnya has been established to a great extent, look at Mahatma Gandhi's biography. It is a good practical example of observing how Vairagyam is developed. He started Vairagyam about first things to eat, things to wear, things. So external objects one by one, he reduced all his wants and desires to 2 dhotis and 1 chappal. External objects, and not only that, he reduced just to show the people. It went out of his mind. Did not matter whether. Then he started doing lokeshana, the fame in the people. This exercise is started in England. at the time when Sarojini Naidu met him. Read the biographies again, I'm telling. Because he did all this and then he started working on Vyatireka Saujna. His Vyatireka Saujna was sex. So he specifically started working on sex because that was the only thick, condensed, one or two odd desires left. He worked on that, and when he conquered that, then all the senses and mind was subdued by him, and yet he was involved into all the politics that he was doing. So when you reach Ekendriya Saujna, the work that happens through you is not by you, but through you. Gurudev didn't have to think and act. That thought becomes one and in unison with the cosmos itself. So it is like sprouting a flower. The thoughts also emanate through the ground of your body. People say Gurudeva did the yajnam. This is a statement of a very low, stupid order sadhaka. Gurudev did not do through his mind. Through Gurudev, the cosmos worked. We need to understand these two things. That is why again and again I'm telling, we do not understand Gurudeva in his wholeness. Gurudeva was a medium because Gurudeva reached a state where cosmos expressed through his medium. And then when that happens, then it is difficult, it is not difficult. This question doesn't arise because there is no I who perceives the difficulty. The water, when it is flowing from one end to the other end, and it is blocked in between by somebody, then the question comes how the water will flow. When the bondage, when that particular block is removed, the water keeps flowing. Even in us, that is what we say, God resides in you, means that consciousness is residing. My blockage is my deha tadatmi. Once this is done, then my God in me. Gurudev calls his a person walking on earth as God, he says. Hari Om.
Sanjay ji, I'm waiting for others to unmute if they have a question. Meanwhile, I think it's partially answered through what you said, but there's a couple of thoughts in my mind and I'll share them so it becomes relevant. One is, obviously, you are better off than a person who can't see and hear. With that assumption, the constant saying of not having is something that's confusing me. So I need to think about it. It used to be clear, but today I'm a bit confused about why that is so bad. And why so that's one piece that's confusing me, that just because I can see and hear, why am I at a disadvantage? Second, I think Patanjali Yoga Sutra does not believe in God. So I guess that's why they are saying that once you identify with God, that Anandam is not supposed to be. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that is not a good place to be, right? That is the second point. The third point for me is desire. So one of the things that's happened in the last couple of weeks is, since we are back at work, you're obviously a little more focused on what you're doing commercially. And I do realize that unless you have a desire to achieve something, you don't accomplish much. It's very easy to sit at home and, not in a bad way, but let's say just read books because there's no pressure, right? So you can read either one shloka or 10 shlokas, or not read anything and hope you're reading. But that's a very easy phase to exist and tempting, but you are accomplishing something in the worldly sense. And therefore, while I can understand desire as negative, I also see it as an extremely positive thing in the sense we are saying. So those are the three things. One is the presence of sense organs, why that's negative. The second is union with God. I assume that is negative because of, and the third is the negativity around desire, which has come in. Those three things, if relevant.
Hari Om. The first one you said is regarding?
The first one is senses, the presence of.
Yes. See, I think in all the three questions, there is a little issue with the premise with which it is understood. The senses, if you have, is not a disadvantage. First of all, to have senses or not to have senses is nothing to do with you. Whether you will have it or not depends upon whether you will be a dehadhari or not. So they will be there. Having a sense is a gift of whom? Of the nature. So if I have eye and I have an eyesight to me, it is a gift of nature to me. The question is, because I have the senses, the way I use those senses, they are to be used in a standard manner. Eye is supposed to see and the ear is supposed to hear. It doesn't happen other way around. The ear doesn't see. So that is fine. So seeing and the eyes, they are inextricably interwoven. They are connected to each other. The question is, what I see, it gives me some knowledge that I have seen something up to that point. So an event has happened that I saw. Result is I saw a tiger. Correct. There is no problem with this. Up to this point, we are exactly in unison with the nature. Now that you have seen, instead of tiger, a lady. So if you see a lady, what is the harm? The eyes have seen a lady. So senses is not a problem. Now that what is seen is interpreted by mind because of my previous samskaras as something desirable. This is where the senses are creating problem. Having a senses is not a problem. Having is not a problem. Not having is not a problem. Gurudeva had the eyes and he could also see the lady sitting in the audience. The problem is, with us it was a problem. With him it was not a problem, because the effect of the result of the sensual interaction is the issue. And the vairagyam is only on that part. So vairagya doesn't mean that he becomes Gandhari. He doesn't put anything on his eyes. He moves everywhere. Swami Vivekananda went to, in Egypt, he went to prostitute area. And what happened? He said, oh, look at all the Devis, look at their situation. And those ladies saw God in him and they said, Hombre de Dios, the God. What happened? Why the change? The same lady who was seeing a man as a customer saw Vivekananda as God. How the change came? The effect part of it. So having senses is not at all an issue. It is not a punishment. It is a gift. Having buddhi, is it a punishment? It is a gift. But using the same buddhi to kill 100 people with a Sten gun, what happened? The buddhi is not at a problem. The implementation of the buddhi, the effect of the senses is where we need to work upon. So let the world be as it is. Don't try to change it. There's no need. There you cannot change it. You're not here to stop anybody's death. It will come. Nature wants it. Nature will go that way. Second part is Yoga Sutra is Seshwara Sankhya. So they do believe in God. What I said and mentioned was very little mention of God has been made in this Grantha. There are 3 or 4 references. We are going to come to that. Otherwise, it generally does not mention much about God. And that is why Vivekananda Maharaj said, for those people who are educated Western types who don't believe in God, atheists, this also appeals as a Grantha. So it is not that it disbelieves in God. It just says that certain stages you achieve with the concentration as you move up. Do not fall prey to those stages, because some of them will give you immense pleasure. But immense pleasure also is a thing that is to be abandoned. That is why the second part. And the third part is desire part. See, you want to see God. Is it not a desire? Samartha Ramdas wanted to see Rama Darshanam. Is it not desire? Sita wanted to see Bhagavan Ram. Is it not desire? This is sattvic desire, but it is desire. In fact, this desire also needs to be annihilated at a very upper stage, that is called Paravairagi. We are going to come to that, because sattvic desire is nothing else but manifestation of Sattva Guna. And when you want to become Triguna Atita, Sattva has to be transcended. When Sattva is transcended, where will there be a desire? That is why, did Gurudeva had a desire to see God? He was in a desireless state. God was seen by him. I hope I'm making it clear. So what about day-to-day work when you have a desire to achieve something naturally? Why do you eat food? Because you have a desire to quench the hunger. So that is not a problem. The problem is the natural corollary of an act or the karmam that you do, because every karma has a phalam. There is a burning coal. you put your finger to that, it will burn, isn't it? So if you say, no, I want to touch the burning coal, but there is no desire of, anything happening. No, sir. Burn will come because it's burning coal. Similarly, the work that you are doing, when you do, it will result in creation of wealth. What is wrong in that? There's nothing wrong. In fact, the Vaishya in the Varnashrama is supposed to create wealth. It is his duty, dharma. What is Chaturveda Purushartha? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Artha is there. So making money has nothing to do with desirelessness. The question is, make money and distribute it. It is meant for whom? 10 people are working with you, 100 people are getting jobs. So you are an instrument in the big machine. Perhaps you happen to be a bigger screw. You happen to be by name Birla. But that doesn't mean. The question now is whether that wealth will be only for me, coveting wealth. That is where the desire problem comes. Desiring for the result, which is a natural corollary to the action, is not wrong. Otherwise, sadhana also you will not do. Why are you doing sadhana? Don't you have a desire to become a yogi? So it starts with the sattvic desire in the beginning. Fair enough. That is why sadhana is also defined as a desire to become desireless. See the irony in the statement. Desire. Ye tamanna hai ki azade tamanna rahu. Sufi says, it is my desire that I should be free from desire. You do desire because you're hoping for karma. That is why to go beyond desires. That's why Vairagya means, in fact, it has been described. It is going to come into the next session. We'll be seeing that Vairagyam iti jnanam. There is no difference between jnana and Vairagya. How? We are going to see that. So that is why having desire is no issue at all. Only thing is having wavered, awkward, or twisted desire is a problem. Naturally, if you go to the gymnasium and work on your body, your muscle will develop. So can you say that I will go to gymnasium, but I have no desire to do it? No, that is a result of what you are doing. So desire for the result which is inherent in the action is not a problem. In fact, it is not called desire also. It is not called a desire. You breathe. What is your desire behind it? There's no desire. You breathe because you are supposed to remain alive. Pranavayu has to come, so you breathe. No, I don't want to. I want to breathe, but I don't have desire to live. Cannot happen. It is inherent there. That is why we call both of them as a desire. However, the desire that is mentioned here is a desire that propels you to go beyond the natural inherent phalam that is there in that. You eat mango and can you desire that, no, it should not taste, I'm away from taste and all. You eat mango will. Do you mean to say Gurudeva was not tasting Shrikhand and enjoying it? In fact, he used to really enjoy it. Right at the end of his life, he was so interested in having rice and papadam. He said, give it to me, I love it. I love it doesn't mean there is a desire. I love it means I want to have it. Deha dhare ka dharma hai, ho jayega. Mind was always about it. So that's why you need to have separation between desire, inherent in the form of result of that action, and twisted desire where you expand it and want something else out of it. Very good.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. Sanjay ji, this similar actually you partially answered my question, because I was also getting confused between the bodily processes and the desire, and whether, for example, you feel sleepy. Now there is an official time, like, okay, you may sleep for 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, that is okay, but you may want to sleep more. Now sometimes body also initiates that process, because you have become like that, you will start sleeping in the afternoon. These kind of things happen. So how do we differentiate whether it's a bodily process or it's a desire, or that will become sort of a difficulty?
That is not very difficult to distinguish. For example, if the body is demanding sleep because when body demands a sleep, it is nature's call. It is not desire. It is nature's call. The question here is, The body, when it demands sleep, you cannot do anything else but sleep, because you'll be forced to sleep. That is what is called, for example, you are thirsty. You don't have to desire whether you are thirsty or not. If you are thirsty really, you will search for water. Even the animal searches for water. The question here is, I had my thirst quenched, but then I thought that abhi pani pina hai to thoda sharbat pee lete hain. This is called twisted desire. Now it has left the nature and it has come in your human mind's capacity compartment. So when it comes to sleep, आज Friday है यार, कौन जल्दी उठता है Friday को? What has happened? It is possible. कौन जल्दी उठता है? That means you yourself admitted that you can, but you are not. Exercise. The body doesn't tell you go for exercise. Body needs exercise. That is the reason it is showing itself through all medical investigation that you need exercise. You need to reduce your weight. But we do not listen to it. Why? My desire overpowers the nature. Everything has inherent in the nature the way things are happening. For example, you go to some place and suddenly some mithai is given to you. Okay, it is prasadam, you eat it. You can't say there that doesn't matter. But like, for example, morning tea. There are people who have to have morning tea. What is that? Body is now put into a certain practice through repetitive desires. Now, suppose somebody gives you to have it and you go to a place where 3 days there was no tea. You should be equally normal. That means you are desireless, but you do take tea. What has happened here is you have it when it comes in front of you. When it doesn't come in front of you, it doesn't. So we need to draw those lines according to not our convenience, but by convention of the Shastra. That is why we need to read Shastra. What Shastra tells us? Brahma Muhurtam Abhyasam. Otherwise, Shastra would have said, please don't get up in the morning. That's not good. The Shastra says, get up in Vidyarthi Pancha Lakshanam. They have given 5 Lakshanam of Vidyarthi. Then we have to follow that. Grahatyagi. Grahatyagi means ghar chhod ke nahi jana hai. Don't get involved too much in the home. Read Bhagavad Gita. That is what they are telling. Now, if you say that, you know what, when I come home, the wife feels that she should talk to me, then children feel that, that's fine, that's needed. How much? The boundary. And another thing is, we have all the excuses in the world to give for such kind of things. How often, when nobody is interested in talking to you, we have invested our time into study of scriptures? That time we go for the serial, we go for the movie, we go for something else. While driving to the office, we can think of so many things, but never of Narayana. That is because we are habituated through wrong desires. So that is why initially what they say, that replace the iron chain with copper chain. Tamoguna with Rajoguna. Then replace the copper chain with the gold chain, Sattva Guna. And replace the Sattva Guna gold chain with no chain. That is why initially desire, a tamasic person who is constantly sleeping, lazy, what will you tell him? Tu thoda thoda kaam kar, to 4 paisa to milega na. Some pralobhana is given because from tamas to rajas he has to be taken. So everybody has to understand his own gunas and which state he is, and then graduate from there. And that is why Bhagwan ke paas jana hai, Bhagwan se binti karni hai, aaj abhishek karna hai, Bhagwan pe dhyan karna hai. All these are sattvic desires. Do that. Even if it lacks the kind of sincerity that it requires, still do it. It is better that the youth of a country goes to temples rather than goes to a terrorist camp. Tamo will say, Sattva, not that those who are going to the temples are all sadhus and all accomplished yogis, but that is a grade movement, relative movement. So we should constantly observe which plane I am and then start working up from there. For example, a disciple of like Swami Vivekananda, when he was at Ramakrishna's place, conditions were very strict. 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with a stick in the hand, Vivekananda Maharaj used to go, Brahmachari, udo. Why? They were at a higher level of Vairagya. For a people like us, even 5 o'clock is not a small thing because 7 baje ke pehle to uthte hi nahi. So that is how it depends on how you grade your desire, state where you are, where you start. Pehli mein ho to first standard se shuru karo, 5th mein ho to 5th se shuru karo. For you.
Mansi, you have a question?
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
Dr. Sahib, I'm new to the class, new to the subject, so just pardon and excuse my question if it is not relevant. The question essentially was like Dr. Kaka normally says, do not isolate, insulate. So how different or how similar it is to what we heard right now? I'm little bit getting confused. And as I said, I'm new to the class, so kindly ignore the question if it is irrelevant.
Yes, it is very relevant and extremely relevant question, I would say. Kaka's words that insulate but not isolate, what it means is when your own children were playing in your house and they said, Mama, Mama, come and play with me. How did you play with them? Did they ever felt that Mama was not part of the game? They did all and they enjoyed. In fact, after growing up also, they say, Mama always played with me. But were you in the game? Didn't you know that the game is not, it's a children's game? In the same manner, this is called insulation. Be in the world and be away from that in your heart or mind. For example, you're in the office, you're working in a particular place, there are 4 people coming and saying, and he says, you know what, that man is so bad that you say, oh, what is happening is he feels you are listening to him. In the heart, you are saying that Ram, 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 he's talking ill about somebody. I should not be actually, he's talking to me, my ears are listening it, but it is not going to my heart. What is happening? You are insulating yourself, but you are not isolating yourself. So when you come home and as a wifely duty or a husband duty, you know, it was so nice. Thoda baat to karo mere se. Do keep talking. Yes. And with it should not. It should be a skilled affair, because the question is, even the one who is expecting interaction with you is what? That is also Mahesh Murthy. Even if a bad person comes to you, is nothing else. He's nothing else but the consciousness twisted. But he's basically a consciousness. So that is why insulation is inside. Outside, there is no isolation. Be wherever you are. For example, if you are given something to eat, nice thing to eat, do you say that, oh, Srikhandam is not Brahman? No, eat the Srikhandam. Then enjoy it. After that, don't think that every day I should be getting Srikhandam. That is insulation. What happened? You went somewhere and people completely ignored you. Accept it. Insulation. Some places you went and people said, oh, how intelligent you are. Inside you say, I am not intelligent. I know myself. Insulation. So insulation and isolation, these are simultaneous procedures. Insulating inside, isolating from outside. So be with everybody. That is why Gurudev used to say that the concentration or ekagrata is to be tried on F1 race track. Maximum chaotic life. Because we have to be in this world. We can't be away. Going to Himalayas and then achieving is a utopian idea. That's not. The practice is to be done here in Grahastha Ashrama. Most difficult of all ashramas. Why? Because this is where you practice. And luckily, God has been kind to us because He has given us so many occasions to practice Vairagyam or insulation, because so many bad elements are around. Everybody is trying to trouble you. The mother, the father, the children, the colleagues. ऐसे लगता है कि everybody just pouncing on you. That is actually not a problem. It is an opportunity, because where will you test yourself? So take each case of interaction, each insult, each disappointment as an opportunity to keep the equipoise, titiksha. That is insulation. So Vairagyam is to the self. You are attending some marriage with your family. Then you can't say, oh, I'm going to wear a torn shirt, doesn't matter, Vairagyam. No. You wear the best that you have. The God has given you the best thing, wear it. Only problem is, if situation comes that you're supposed to wear a torn shirt, don't feel otherwise that, oh, I don't have a good shirt. No. Jaisi sthiti ahe, taisha parirahe, kautuk tupahe sanchitache. Tukaram Maharaj said, the key to success is acceptance of whatever is around. Do not try to isolate anything, but insulate yourself from whatever is around. Hari.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.